here with Alistair from Techbuyer, and you've been visiting the show today,
Yes.
so it'd just be good to have your impressions, what you've seen. My impressions, for what it's worth, very busy, and every other stand seems to be having some kind of liquid cooling solution. But over to you, what have you seen?
Yeah, it's been incredible actually. I'm quite overwhelming coming into the building to see all of the activity and all of the products and solutions that are available in and around the data center. So yeah, absolutely amazing. I've never seen so many pipes and valves and
There's a
buckets of water.
lot of
you know, it's
componentry,
incredible.
isn't there? That's
Absolutely
right.
incredible.
Yeah. And in terms of Techbuyer, just be good to know what's sort of keeping you busy at the moment. Are there particular? I mean, I guess the sort of sustainability is still very important, although there's been various bits of political pushback, shall we say.
Yeah.
Is that still very much front and centre, and you're getting more and more people sort of
Yes.
interested in what you're doing?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think actually the way I would describe it is sustainability is actually more like a resilient strategy now. With the squeeze on the supply chains for servers, storage, and networking, you know, if you're not a big AI company, you know, you're well down the queue when it comes to fabrication access. And a lot of companies who, I guess, have historically worked with us in a very transactional way are now coming to us and saying, look, we need a more strategic relationship for the secondary market, server, storage, and networking. Simply because they can't afford new things, and even if you can afford them, you can't get hold of them.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of interest, and it's keeping us very, very busy. I mean, our business is almost back to COVID times, where the supply chain.
I know you got knocked over in the rush, didn't you? Because everyone wanted
exactly. So it's very similar dynamics for our business, our traditional business. Of course, Techbuyer is also selling new products.
Yeah.
As well, and I guess, you know, our goal as a company is to continue to extend the useful life of a product for as long as possible, and some of the discussions I've been involved in today are all about that as a theme. You know, how do we focus on sustainability and circularity, but there's a clear economic business benefit to that. It's not just about being a good citizen and for the environment. There's actually an economic reason for doing so.
And in terms of when the equipment does become end of life, do you get involved in that in terms of whether you pass it on to somebody who then strips it down for all the components that can be again reused, or just what happens if you can't repurpose a piece of kit, if you like?
So we would typically break it down into its component parts and recycle it in an appropriate way. So I'm not quite sure what the percentage of e-recycling we do, but it's very low. You know, so our philosophy is if we can find a good use for it, we're going to look to reuse it. And it's only in the very extreme cases where we do, we break it down into its parts. And it's zero landfill for us. So if you come to our facility, you'll see these big hoppers, full of bits and pieces, cables and fans, and they're all dealt with without going into landfill.
And clearly the industry is focused on AI, I won't say to the exclusion of everything else, but is that an opportunity for you, or is that an area where, because it's fairly new, it's not of relevance? You just what's your AI play, if there is one? Like that?
Well, I think we're watching the market with interest. We really haven't seen many GPUs come into the secondary market.
Sure.
So one of the questions we're sort of asking ourselves is, what are companies doing with them? Because the refresh cycle seems to be so quick, 1 year, 18 months, 2 years, and the next generation of technology is out. I mean, we have seen some opportunities to buy used equipment, but it's very difficult to know really what's the residual value, and they're used in such a different way to traditional CPUs that our view probably is that life expectancy of those products is shorter.
You think they've been worked hard, basically, when they've been in service,
and it represents a risk to us because we certify everything and apply a warranty, and we will sell a service on top of those. So I think we're sort of watching with interest. I also think that it's going to force buyers of GPUs to really document the way that they've been used.
Right, yes.
So anybody that's
like
coming,
a car, you've got a
exactly,
sort of service
exactly.
book or whatever, yeah.
So anybody that's looking at buying that on the secondary market has a good sense of, has it been thrashed or not?
Sure,
has it been serviced or not? So you've got a good sense of whether or not it's economically viable to buy and recycle, and what's the risk.
And in terms of the sort of the IT hardware supply chain, is that an area that you see is becoming more volatile, and therefore there's more opportunity for you because there seem to be potential bottlenecks or actual bottlenecks? Is that what are you seeing there?
Yeah. I mean, we're a new product reseller for a number of brands. Classic enterprise IT brands, and there we've seen quotation periods drop from typically 30 days to 14 days. They're reserving the right to change the price that they're charging right until the point that you place the order.
Yep.
And then when you place the order, the delivery times are extended.
Right.
And of course, what we've seen is that the price of components has gone up astronomically. So, IT will typically budget on an annual basis. They'll have built their budget based on what things used to cost. And in some cases, they can be hundreds of % more expensive. So that's why customers are coming to us and say, look, actually, we can't, even if we could afford the product, we can't get hold of it.
Yeah.
Do you have a good certified refurbished product that we can use? And from most enterprise use cases using CPUs, a good used refurbished product with a certification is perfectly adequate. Perfectly adequate for what they need. So they don't need the latest and greatest. So it's a very positive time for our business, and really good to see that customers are starting to take that secondary supply chain so seriously.